In recent weeks, he's become a conservative superhero icon. That following his triumphant speeches at the National Prayer Breakfast and the CPAC Conservative Conference, Dr. Ben Carson has a conservative free market message to roll back Obamacare, deal with the crushing national debt, and even a biblically based call for a flat tax, which I love. Question, is he the conservative who can save the GOP? Here now is the aforementioned Dr. Ben Carson. He's the director of the Pediatric Neurosurgery Division at Johns Hopkins University. And with us for the hour this evening, CNBC contributors Keith Boykin and Jim Pethokoukis. As always, sir, Dr. Carson, it is great to see you. I'm reading in one of the many articles that you're retiring in 100 days, and I wonder if you would share with us your future plans, especially public service.
Well, you know, I have a lot of things on my agenda. I've got 10 international trips, a multitude of speaking engagements around this country. We're working very hard with the Carson Scholars Fund. We're in all 50 states. We're putting in reading rooms all over the country, particularly targeting Title I schools. I've got so many things. I'm probably going to have to come back to work to get a vacation.
There is an open Senate seat in Michigan. I believe you grew up in Detroit, and as you know, Senator Carl Levin is retiring. Any interest in that open Senate seat?
No. People keep trying to put me into politics, and I really don't want to do it because I don't think I really fit the mold. You know, I don't believe in political correctness, and I certainly don't believe in getting into bed with special interest groups. I just don't think I would fit.
All right, I get that. How about television? I've been reading about some TV interest on your part.
Yes, I enjoy television because I think it's a way to be able to reach the largest number of individuals. And I think we're in a situation in our country right now where we need, you know, reasoned voices to help educate people. We have so many screaming people on both sides of the equation, and we're not making a lot of progress.
You know, Dr. Carson, I've watched, you've been on this show before, for which I am grateful, and I've watched you on some of the other shows and, of course, been reading about you. And it seems like you are a problem solver, and you're looking for some common ground. And I get that. That's probably something lacking in this country. I just had a thought on the economy. If you take a look at some of these unemployment rates, all right, overall 7.7%. It's not the worst thing in the world, but, 4 years after recovery, it should be lower. But here's the ones that are killers, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on how to solve it. Teenage employment in the USA, total teenage employment, 25%. Overall black employment, 13.8%. And then, of course, the worst one is teenage black unemployment, 43%. How in the world can we solve those problems, sir?
Well, it's going to take a concerted effort. First of all, we as a society need to recognize that for every one of those young people we can keep from going down that path of despair, that's one more tax-paying productive member of society who may discover a new energy source. So we need to begin to think of ways to invest in them early. That's why we put in reading rooms and all these places to get them interested in reading, because we have a 30% high school dropout rate in this country. And this is the information age, the age of technology. There's just no way we can afford to lose 30% of our individuals. So those of us who are doing well, those of us in the business community need to recognize that, those people become a drag on our society. So we really should be willing to invest some resources in helping them early on. It makes a big difference.
So I know you've been very critical of Obamacare, and I want to talk about your biblically based flat tax, which I just love. But, at the end of the day, are you saying that it's really education right at the beginning of the child's life?
On an individual basis, education makes the biggest difference of anything. And, certainly in my case and in many other cases that I know of, people should go to the website Horatio Alger Society and read the stories of those people, all of whom came from very desperate situations and achieved at the highest possible levels. See what went into it. Those are the kinds of things we need to be putting in front of our children.
So, Dr. Carson, two quick questions for you. This is Keith Boykin. Would you support federal government investment in early childhood education, increasing that? And secondly, where do you stand on the issue of affirmative action?
Yes, early childhood education is good if it's done correctly. We don't want to do it in a way that gives people a message, poor little thing, we're going to take care of you. We want to do it in a way that's empowering and that tends to lift people up. As far as affirmative action is concerned, I believe in something, and I've written about it, called compassionate action. We've always been a very generous and compassionate people who root for the underdog. The stripe of the underdog changes over the course of time, and I think we should be looking at who the underdog is, not a particular class or race of people. So, for instance, if my son is applying to Yale and the son of a coal miner from West Virginia is applying, and his father got killed in the mines when he was 5, and he's been working all this time and he still has, a very decent academic average, yes, I'd give him a leg up.
Dr. Carson, this is Jim Pethokoukis. You're talking about maybe that you weren't interested in a Senate race in Michigan. Well, as you know, there are people out there who have you, waiting for your first trip to Iowa or New Hampshire to run for president. So is your message to all those folks who are just dying to get you into a political office, stand down, it's not going to happen, I'm going to have a TV career, I'm going to be giving speeches. Is that your message to them?
My message is that I am not planning a career in politics.
That sounds like a politician saying that, though. Are you saying definitively you're not going to run for office, or are you just saying you're not planning it?
This is certainly not my plan. I'm putting it that way.
That's not a no.
It's not exactly Sherman-esque. I don't want to harp on this. I was going to ask you about the flat tax, but that wasn't exactly Sherman-esque, what you just said to Keith Boykin.
Well, my life has been one that has gone in many different ways that I didn't expect it to go. And I am one of those rare people who actually believe that God is in charge. So, my job is to do the best that I can possibly do with what I have. And looking at that, it does not include politics for me right now.
One of the things that really interested me, you'd like to replace Medicare, you'd like to replace Medicaid, I think you'd like to replace a lot of our welfare system, and you argue that the churches are the best ways to dispense help to those who truly need it. Could you talk a little more about, do you see the role of churches, and I would add synagogues and other things, to replace the welfare state?
Absolutely. One of the reasons that churches get the tax deductions that they get is because they're supposed to be out there taking care of people in the community. And you have a situation with churches where they are right there with the people, as opposed to a nebulous, governmental agency that sends you a check in the mail, to whom you feel really no responsibility to do anything. When you get a local involvement, yes, you're very grateful for the help, but also, you have people to whom you're responsible. And that makes a huge difference in terms of how you react to that aid.
Can I ask you just one more? You've talked, I love this, you've talked about a flat tax, and you've talked about a flat tax in biblical terms, and you say that there's no reason to punish the rich. In our remaining moments, could you just expand on that thought?
Sure. Well, first of all, flat tax is proportional, as is tithe, which the Bible advocates. You make $10 billion, you pay $1 billion. You make 10, you pay 1. The guy who put in 1 gets the same rights as the guy who put in 1 billion times more than he does. To me, that's extremely fair. You got to get rid of the deductions. But the other thing that's fair about it is everybody has skin in the game. If everybody doesn't have skin in the game, then the government can be much less responsible. They can say, look, we're only raising taxes on these rich guys, on this 1% or this 2% or this 5%. You other people don't have to worry. That you want to talk about unfairness. That is the epitome of unfairness. We need to make all of our policies apply to everyone equally.
So you think the working poor should have to pay their taxes too, income taxes, even if they can't afford to pay income taxes? They're paying payroll taxes already.
Of course they should pay their fair share of taxes. Are they benefiting from things that are going on in our society? I think we do them a tremendous disservice when we say, there, you poor little thing, you can't do anything, and we're going to take care of you.
I'm not saying that, but it was Ronald Reagan who supported the idea, and Jack Kemp who supported the idea of the earned income tax credit, so that people people who are working poor wouldn't have to pay their money to the tax man, so they could actually use their wealth and use their resources to build their income and become part of the middle class. Are you saying you don't support that concept?
I'm saying you make the system much more complex when you start exempting this group or that group. The fact of the matter is, if we have a fair taxation system, the economy is going to explode. You're going to have plenty of money, and if you want to do something for those people in terms of money that you want to give to them or some program you want to make available to them, I'm all for that. But once we start tinkering with the system and saying, let's change it here and let's change it here and let's make an exception for this group or that group, then we get away from fairness.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks, Dr. Ben Carson. As always, sir, appreciate your time very much.